So the Chargers just came up with a big win, 31-10 against the LA Rams. And like we do every single week, we're going to be doing my instant reactions, and there is a lot to talk about. So if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. But let's not waste any more of your time. Let's go and get right into things. As mentioned, the Chargers just beat the Rams 31-10 in the Battle of LA. And honestly, there was a lot of great things that came out of this game, especially for the Chargers. First things first, of course, to all Rams fans and all that, if it's now your time to jump on the bandwagon of the Chargers, another LA team, feel free to join. I would love to invite you over. But honestly, this was a really, really good game for the Rams that, are already out of playoff contention. It was a fun game to watch, nonetheless, no matter what the score was. And for the most part, Rams fans are, very nice to Chargers fans. I do appreciate that. So, of course, I'm going to do my due diligence to be kind to the Rams, of course, after this game as well. But, yeah, this is a great game. I'm not really going to go too much into breaking down, play by play, game by game, because you guys just watched it. And if you didn't, well, go ahead and watch highlights or something on YouTube. But let's go ahead and talk some stats a little bit here. First off, the Chargers offense has been a huge struggle for them as of late. The past couple months, past couple games as well as, honestly, past month or two, the offense has not been clicking. And for some reason, and maybe it was because they made the playoffs and Joe Lombardi was willing to do some things he normally doesn't, which I mentioned in my keys to victory this week, is being out of your comfort zone, and everything seemed to click for the Chargers. This week was the first time since week 5 that the Chargers scored a touchdown in the third quarter. Also, the first time since week 5 the Chargers have scored 30 points in a game. I don't see that as a coincidence that both those things happened in the same game since week 5. So, this offense, and I'm just going to say it. I've been calling for Joe Lombardi's head this whole year. Honestly, I still think he should be fired unless this becomes the norm, because this was a really good game. He called a great game, and I'm going to give him 100% credit for it, because Joe Lombardi did do a great job at calling a good game. And of course, yes, his players bailed him out a couple times here and there, but for the most part, these were good plays that he called along the way. So credit to Joe Lombardi, credit to Brandon Staley on the defense end of the field, and all that stuff. This was a really good game played by the coaches as well as for the players. So let's go and take a look at some of the stats. Justin Herbert, 21 for 28, 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. He scored 2 touchdowns, hadn't scored a touchdown in the past 2 weeks. He was 1 of 3 touchdown interception past 3 weeks. Thankfully, he doesn't throw an interception. He gets 2 touchdowns. He had that scary incident right there with the potential fumble. It ended up being an incomplete pass. Nonetheless, he did end up recovering it nonetheless. So, that Herbert had a really, really good game, and he started to look like himself. This offense was, it looked very, very good. And whether that was because Herbert, Joe Lombardi, whomever you may suggest it was really good. We were getting those short pass game that we've seen time and time throughout the year, but we're also getting some, middle of the field targets past the first down marker and moving. We saw Mike Williams have a great game with an incredible catch. Holy, that was an insane catch on the sideline on the, top of the screen, if that's how you look at it. Incredible catch by him. He also put a move on Jalen Ramsey and ended up gaining about 15 yards. Great game by Mike Williams. We'll look at Mike Williams' stats right here. 7 for 94, 13.4 yards average. Really, really good game for Mike Williams. Everything's starting to click at the right time. I'm very happy to see that. We also saw Keenan Allen get 5 for 60, averaging 12. He had an opportunity there to get a touchdown. Him and Herbert were a little bit off schedule. Didn't know the ball was going to come so quick. Keenan did take responsibility for that after the play occurred. We also saw Austin Eckler, 4 for 39, 9.8 average, and he had a great game on the ground. We're going to get to that in 1 second here. Gerald Everett, 3 for 15, and the touchdown. Carter, 2 for 14. Larry Roundtree, 1 for 13. Another tight end, 1 for 3 yards, and a touchdown for Donald Parham. Chicken Parm finally get his first touchdown of the year. This passing game looked really, really good. The only weird thing here is, for one, that the wide receivers didn't get too many targets in the end zone. I think the only time they really got a target was DeAndre Carter at the way back, and he didn't even get a single foot in. On the Donald Parham touchdown play, Keenan Allen was also wide open on a slant route. I think Herbert was already here, though. He saw Donald Parham and he was going to take it instead of trying to look for another guy since he thought he could throw him open, which he did, and they scored a touchdown. But Keenan Allen was wide open on a slant route as Mike Williams kind of did out. Their defenders kind of ran into each other and left Keenan Allen wide open. Joshua Palmer was left out completely of this game. He had 0 receptions, of course, 0 yards. I don't know how many times he was targeted. I don't even remember his name being called. I'd like to see him get back in it because he was a key piece to this offense while Mike and Keenan were out. Same with Gerald Everett. Yes, he had 3 receptions, including a touchdown, but I want to see him get a little bit more involved. Last week he had 0 receptions, and before that he's kind of been faded out ever since Keenan and Mike returned about 4 games ago. Oh, excuse me. But man, this Chargers offense did look really, really good on the offense side of the ball. And I know, you may suggest that this wasn't like a huge, great game for the offense, but the Rams have a pretty solid defense. I think they're ranked 12th entering this game. They were 22nd ranked in the passing game, but they were like 5th ranked running, and we saw a great game on the ground from the run game. Austin Ekeler, who was questionable entering this game with, I believe, an ankle injury, 10 carries, 122 yards, 12.2 average, and 2 touchdowns, including a 72-yard touchdown. And the other touchdown was like 10 yards, and he broke like 4 tackles along the way. Great game from Austin Ekeler. Joshua Kelly also had a pretty solid game for 9 carries, 45 yards. I'd like to see Joshua Kelly get a little bit more in it. But, he pretty much split snaps with Austin Ekeler, so I'm not too angry about that. Larry Roundtree, 10 for 15. He was put in after all the starters got pulled. Keenan Allen, 1 for 8. Justin Herbert, 1 for 2. But, on the ground, really, really solid game. Overall stats for the offense, Chargers 431, 239 passing, 192 rushing. Chargers entered the game at like 89.2 rushing yards per game. Literally doubled that. Got pretty close to tripling it. If they would have probably kept starters out there, they maybe could have. Averaged 7 yards per play. That's an incredible performance from the offense. Now, real quick, let's talk about, the Rams offense as well. Entering the game, they were ranked 31st offense. Definitely not a great offense, but, last week we just saw them put up 51 points against the 5th-ranked Broncos defense. So I kind of expected a little bit more from this Rams offense. Good on Staley, I guess. Staley has held 44 points or 42 points allowed through the past 4 games. That is incredible. 10.5 points per game allowed pretty much through the past 4 games. Great, way to turn around for Brandon Staley and the defense. But, Rams only scored 10 points. Baker Mayfield, 11 for 19, 132 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Jasir Taylor missed out on an opportunity late in the game. He definitely could have had an interception there. It went through his hands. But, very, not a terrible game for Baker himself. I really enjoy watching Baker Mayfield. Passing game, Van Jefferson, 3 for 77. Bryce Hopkins, 1 for 21. Tyler Higbee, by far Baker Mayfield's favorite target, 3 for 11. Chargers did a great job at limiting Tyler Higbee's opportunities. And I think on the very first drive, maybe it was the Rams' second drive, they had an opportunity in the red zone, pretty much right at the goal line, and Baker targeted Tyler Higbee, and Michael Davis came up with a huge pass breakup, and would force them into 3 points. They did a great job, and by far Baker Mayfield's top target. Chatarius Atwell, 2 for 10. Cam Akers, 1 for 10. Brandon Powell, 1 for 3. Passing game didn't get a whole lot, obviously only 132 yards, but rushing, the Rams and Cam Akers had a really, really good game. It seemed like there wasn't a lot of great run defense today. Not quite sure what was going on there. But Cam Akers, 19 carries, 123 yards, 6.5 average. Malcolm Brown, 1 and 23 yards. Baker, 3 for 8. Kyren Williams, 2 for 6. Brandon Powell, 1 for 6. Overall, Rams, 277 total and 111 passing, 166 rushing, average 5.8. Chargers literally beat them in every single major offensive statistical category. Speaking of some major offensive categories, third down, Chargers were 8 of 13 and Rams were held to 4 of 11. No fourth down attempts were made here. And Chargers had time of possession only 3 minutes, nearly 4 minutes longer than the Rams, and they still dominated heavily. Chargers had a great game offensively, and defensively did a pretty good job against the Rams. Defensive stats, nothing too crazy. There was no huge plays. I mean, Ja'Sir Taylor had an opportunity with an interception. He did not come up with it. You didn't get a ton of sacks. I think there was like 3. Morgan Fox came up with 1. Sebastian Joseph Day came up with the one that was near safety. And then you also had Kyle Van Noy with the strip sack. That was a great play. 4 in a row now after having none all year, and he comes up with 4 sacks in a row, including the strip sack. We didn't see Joey Bosa get a sack today. He got 2 tackles. I was kind of hoping he'd get a sack on his first day back, but whatever. And I will say, Brandon Staley called a great game defensively, especially bringing the pressure on from the edge. I saw it multiple times. Bryce Callahan was getting some great blitz opportunities. I think like at least 3 times Bryce Callahan hit Baker Mayfield. Incredible blitz called off the edge there. Bryce Callahan was having a really, really good game in that regard. Kenneth Murray, Drew Tranquill both getting some pressure decently. Kenneth Murray had a little bit of off game. I'm a big fan of Kenneth Murray. I'm a lot bigger of a fan than other Chargers fans are. He had a little bit off game. I also think Drew Tranquill didn't have a great game. But there was definitely a lot of pressure coming from non-D line, and I really enjoyed that. It showed that Brandon Staley was willing to dial it up when needed, and especially on like 3rd downs. So, that was pretty good. Rams defensively, I think one guy that we got to talk about Rams defense is Jalen Ramsey. He did not have a great game. He had 1 tackle, 1 assist, and most of the game he was guarding Mike Williams. Anytime it was like one-on-one coverage, he was guarding Mike Williams. And Mike, of course, had 7 for 94. I mean, Jalen Ramsey did not have a very good game, and I know Mike is a big body and he has speed. He's kind of tough to cover, but I thought Jalen Ramsey was going to have a little bit better of a game than that, honestly speaking. For the Rams, they end up coming up with 0 sacks, I believe? Yes, 0 sacks. The Chargers O-line did phenomenal this game, and I think they allowed they allowed an absurd amount, like 30, maybe 40 sacks through the past like 6 or 7 games, and now they allow 0. Of course, Aaron Donald not playing was that would have made a huge difference here, but nonetheless, great play, great game by the offensive line. Trey Pipkins went out with an injury for some time. He's been dealing with like a knee injury. I don't remember which of the tendons it is for him. Is it his MCL? I want to say it's his MCL. He's been dealing with that. He went down. He could barely put any weight on it, and within like 2 drives, he was already back out there. Trey Pipkins has been a trooper all year, and by far the best option at right tackle this year, and also I believe next year. So, really, really good job defensively for the Rams. Of course, no interceptions, technically no fumbles, and their best player was Taylor Rapp, 8 tackles, and kind of the rest went, but Bobby Wagner didn't have a great game, 5 and 2, and, he's probably one of the best linebackers in the game. Yeah, and, sacks allowed, Rams 3, Chargers allowed 0. Punts, 4 for Chargers, 5 for the Rams. The Chargers played a really, really good game. I really enjoyed what I saw here. And, they put up 31 points and pulled their starters early. They pulled Herbert, I think the last 2 drives, they had already pulled, like, most of the starters. Like, Herbert, Corey Linsley, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, most of the starters were already pulled at that point. So, yeah, like, I know this is supposed to be like instant reactions, and for the most part it kind of is, running through stats and my thoughts on the game. But, I really enjoyed what I saw from this offense, and I've been calling for Joe Lombardi's head all year, and I still think he should be fired after the year, no matter what happens through the playoffs, unless, of course, they win a Super Bowl. But I am very happy to see Joe Lombardi kind of figured it out. I'm giving all my credit at this point to Joe Lombardi. Of course, Justin Herbert played a big part in it, and I don't think someone else was magically calling plays behind the scenes and we just didn't know about it. But Joe Lombardi did a great job. We weren't seeing constant screen plays. Most of the run plays he was dialing up were actually useful and good. We were seeing mid-range and long-range passes. There was one huge dialed-up pass. I think it was like Mike Williams that was thrown a little bit over him, but that was like a really good opportunity there for like almost 40 yards. I did really like what Joe Lombardi was doing. And of course, some of these bigger plays weren't because of him. Austin Eckler's 72-yard rush came a lot because of the blocking. Keenan came up with a huge crack block on the inside linebacker there, which opened that gap. We also saw a pulling. Who pulled? I think it was Matt Filer. I think Matt Filer pulled on that play, got a really good block. That right side of the line is incredible in the run game. I believe that. And this defense, man, I know the Rams sat as the 31st ranked defense, which definitely isn't great. What am I talking about? 31st ranked offense, which definitely isn't great, but they just put up 51 points on the 5th ranked defense of the Broncos. So I definitely expected more. And this Rams offense has definitely improved a lot when Baker Mayfield has joined. Nonetheless, 10 points when you look statistics where the Rams land offensively, not incredible. Excuse me. But nonetheless, Brandon Staley has allowed, I want to say like 42 or 44 points. I just butchered the spelling of Chargers. Through the last 4 weeks. I mean, that's incredible from this defense that was struggling a lot. I think this defense was allowing nearly like 28 or something like that points. Last 4 games here. 10 to the Rams, 3 to the Colts, 14 to the Titans, 17 to the Dolphins. So you got 20, 34, 44 points through the last 4 games. 11 points per game is what you're allowing. That is an incredible defense performance. And these aren't all like great offenses. I mean, the Titans still had Derrick Henry. You had the Dolphins, who had a really, really good offense entering that game. They've definitely fallen off. Colts didn't have a great offense, especially with Jonathan Taylor out, and you had a brand new quarterback there. Hopefully, he's gonna be okay. Was that game? Was it Giants versus Colts? And Nick Foles, got pretty beat up there, and Thibodeau was doing snow angels beside him. I don't know the full story. Didn't watch it, so I don't think it was like intentionally bad of Thibodeau. But Colts offense wasn't great. Dolphins was, Titans was, and Rams, they definitely looked like they were going to be entering this game after 51 last week. So, man, the Chargers had a great game on both sides of the ball. Special teams, they had a pretty decent game too. J.K. Scott is an amazing punter. Whether his punts are super far or not, doesn't matter. You're never getting a good return on his punts, it seems like. But, yeah. So, to Rams fans and to the Rams themselves, great game. It was fun to watch. I wish the Rams would have been full strength during this game because it would have been a lot more fun. Of course, it's always more fun when everyone plays. Around the league, a lot of things have been happening. Chiefs are that number 1 seed now. You got a lot of different things occurring. But, yeah. I mean, Rams fans, hey, if you're a Rams fan and you're watching this, I would argue most Chargers fans don't have a problem with Rams fans. I'd say kind of vice versa. If you want to be a Chargers fan for the remainder of the year, feel free to subscribe here to anyone. If you enjoy this content, like, subscribe. But yeah, let's look at NFL games right now and talk about, just really, really quickly for like 1 minute and then end this video. The important games we got going on right now, if things will load, that is. Cowboys earlier beat the Titans. That shifts the Jaguars up. Patriots beat the Dolphins. Patriots are now the 7th seed. Chargers can no longer be the 7th seed with a win today, so that's good news. Giants obviously beat the Colts. Buccaneers locked in their spot. Chiefs took the 1 seed after beating the Broncos. I heard Russ had a really good game. I wonder if he broke his touchdowns to bathroom ratio. That's a fun stat if you understand. Lions looked good, 41-10. Jeez Louise. Browns beat the Commanders. Browns are technically still in the race for that final seed. Commanders, I believe, are going to get knocked out with a Packers win, and the Packers won 41-17. And fun fact, I made the fantasy championship in all of my leagues. I don't think I'm going to win a single one of them. Jaguars beat the Texans earlier today, so the Jaguars potentially could be locked in at that 7th seed. Although I think the Titans and Jaguars play each other week 7. So I don't know how that works. Raiders are in overtime with the 49ers. Jets lost to the Seahawks. Great for Geno Smith to knock the Jets out. Chargers beat the Rams, obviously. Ravens, Steelers, that's kind of important right here. If the Ravens lose, I think the Chargers can take that 5th seed next week, or they might actually this week, depending on if the Steelers win that. And Bengals, Bills on Monday Night Football. So yeah, a lot of good things going on here for this Chargers team. So, those are my instant reactions. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. It truly means the world to me. And as always, I hope you taught something today. I hope I made you smile. Hope I made you laugh. That's something that's really important to me. Affects me most day in a great way, because every single day can be a great day. And Happy New Year's, by the way. Kind of forgot that. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.